Welcome to video 0, we're going to call this one. This is step 0 of painting your miniatures with the new Army Painter speed paints. And we will not be opening the speed paints at all in this video because this video is all about undercoating. So here I have my orc. This is the model I'm going to use to take us through the adventures of speed painting. A neat little orc. Just put some sand on his base. You know, his basic pose of the Warhammer 40k orcs. So, all I've done so far is I have primed him using the Army Painter Matte White, the 100% match spray primer. So I had some good weather outside, took him outside, gave him a spray, and you can see it got him mostly covered. Now, there's a few little stringy things I'm going to want to kind of brush off here and there, see if I can get those little stringy things to go away. And we're also going to touch up that primer with this matte white. So this is step 1. Step 1, you need to, and I did shake this before the video, by the way, you do need to shake your Army Painter paints pretty lots. So our first step, prime, get a good consistent coat of this white on the model. And so these areas where it's a little splotchy or grainy, what I'm going to do is just paint this white right on. And you might notice it looks a hair different at first, not too different. It will blend pretty nice when dry. The other thing that's nice is white is white. So actually what we're kind of doing here is, if it looks more white, it's because the original spray of the primer, I didn't quite get this guy maybe covered as much as I should have. But that's okay. It's okay. You spray them the best you can. That's a good first step. And then you kind of just touch it up with the white paint out of the pot. And that's the joy of having this 100% color match. So as I'm painting him, he's just, getting a little more white in all the areas. I'm putting on a nice thin coat of this. But this would not go on, I want to be clear about this, this would not be going on and covering so well had I not initially sprayed him. So you're thinking, oh, I'm just going to go out and just paint him straight with the white. You can do that. You actually can, but it doesn't work quite as well. You want to put something on underneath the first coat of kind of brush on paint. And I find the spray primer to work really well. Here at the end of March 2022, we're going to see the Army Painter's airbrush primers released. Those might be worth taking a look at if you do airbrushing at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to basically paint him all over with this white color. You see, like, underneath here, I didn't do super well in getting that covered, so I'm going to just cover that up now with my brush. So I'm going to take him and do all of that. I'm going to finish him up there, and you're going to see what he looks like with the white at the start of the next video, and then we'll actually be able to put some color on. But you can already kind of see a difference. I think you can see a good difference there. And so that's what we're really going for. Step 0 here, make sure you have a good undercoat under your speed paint. Your speed paint is really only going to work as well as your undercoat. So if you have a bad undercoat, you're going to have problems. Oh, I will mention right now, so the question that you might be asking is, what should I use for an undercoat? And the answer is, you should use a very light color. We are going to do some experiments, because this channel is about experiments. But you want to do something like Army Painter White, or here I have, we're going to paint this guy using the same speed paints. This is Citadel Gray Seer. As an experiment, I also have Citadel Death Guard Green. I expect that to do badly, but we'll see. And then I also have my favorite gray from the hardware store, the 2X spray paint. It's not a miniature primer brand. So you want to use a good primer. And I will tell you this, the Army Painter White is a good white. I tried priming some Nighthaunt with the hardware store white paint, and it is so like, even the matte from the hardware store, at least it claims it's matte, is so glossy and shiny and slick when it dries that the speed paint, well, in this case I was using the contrast paint from Citadel because the speed paints weren't out yet, but it just kind of ran right off. Like, you ever have like water that runs off like a waterproof surface? It just ran right off. It was not good. So that's why the idea here is you need a good undercoat. And so you don't want it to be, definitely not shiny or glossy. You don't use any shiny paints, glossy paints, anything like that. But also, even things that claim to be matte. I mean, if it's hardware store primer, it's like, or it's a hardware store spray paint, it's not necessarily meant as a primer for like miniatures acrylic paints. And so you got to be really careful with those. What I would just do is just test it. Just test it. If you want to try to use the cheap hardware store paint, just test it. That's all you got to do. And for me, when I tested it, it didn't work real well. For you, it might work great. I don't know. You'll have to try it and let me know. But anyways, I'm going to get the rest of this guy. I just kind of brushed over on camera here. You can see I'm just putting on a real thin coat of this again and getting him ready to go. So our orc will be back in the next video. We'll do step 1. Thanks for watching.